My dear listeners, how are you all? I hope you are doing best to serve your duties with utmost honesty and love. So, we are going to be successful in this journey, in this sadhana, with the grace of Almighty. With this good wish, let's start a new chapter from the life of our master Shri Ramkrishna Paramhansa. Bereavements. At this time, Rameshwar, who was the head and financial support of the Chatterjee family, passed away at Kamarpukur, where he had gone to rest and recuperate, leaving two sons and a daughter. Rameshwar was prepared for the end, for he had been warned before he left Dakshineshwar by Sri Ramakrishna that he would never return. According to his wishes, his body was cremated on the roadside so that his ashes might be touched by the feet of devout passers by. Rameshwar possessed a royal heart which could never say nay to any sannyasin or fakir. He even gave away the utensils of the house, for it was his profound belief that no man who had the welfare of others at heart could ever suffer from want. Naturally, he was widely mourned. His son Ramlal succeeded him at the Dakshineshwar temple. When the sad news reached Dakshineshwar, Sri Ramakrishna became greatly concerned for his aged mother. Chandra Devi was very old and had suffered many bereavements, and stock might be too much for her. He prayed to the goddess in the Kali temple to sustain his mother in this affliction. Then he went to her with tears in his eyes and broke the sad news to her. He was agreeably surprised to find that she took it quite calmly, remarking, "This world is unreal. Everybody must die some day or other, so it is useless to mourn." He saw that, in response to his prayer, the Divine Mother had pitched her mind to a high key, and he thanked her again for her kindness and for freeing him from anxiety. The Holy Mother came to Dakshineshwar for the second time in April 1874. She made the trip in the company of a party of women pilgrims from her village who wished to bathe in the Ganges at Calcutta during a coming eclipse. She gradually fell behind because she was unable to walk fast. She told the rest not to wait for her but to go on to Tarkeshwar, where she would rejoin them the next day. All except two elderly women went on. The way led through extensive wastelands notorious for dacoits. Evening was closing in, and the Holy Mother and her companions were becoming nervous, wondering what to do when they saw a tall, dark man with a long stick approaching at a rapid pace. They were much alarmed at first, thinking he might be a bandit, but when he came up to them and they explained their predicament, he offered his protection and that of his wife who was following him and escorted them to the neighboring village. The next morning, he and his wife accompanied them to Tarakeshwar, where they rejoined the rest of the party. The Holy Mother was filled with gratitude for their kindness, called them her father and mother, and made them promise to come to see her at Dakshineshwar. They kept their word and visited the Holy Mother a number of times at the temple garden, where they met Sri Ramakrishna, who treated them with much kindness. At Dakshineshwar, she lived in her old quarters, the concert room, with her mother in law. It was too small for two persons, and Shaman built a hut for her on a piece of land adjacent to the Kali temple. Captain Vishwanath Upadhyay, another devotee of whom we shall presently speak, supplied the necessary timber. The Holy Mother moved to her new hut, where she had a maidservant to assist her. Every day she cooked Sri Ramakrishna's food and brought it to him in the temple. The master used to spend some time there every day. Only once, because of heavy rain, did he stay overnight. After a severe attack of dysentery, she returned to Jairambati, probably in September 1875. Shortly after, she had a severe relapse and her condition became critical. Sri Ramakrishna was grieved to hear of this and said to Hriday, "Well, Hriday, what if she should die without attaining the object of human life?" In her extremity, Sarda Devi went secretly to the temple of the local goddess Shimha Bhavani and lay there without food, determined to end her life if she were not cured. A few hours later, she was given some medicine which cured her in a few days. A few months after the Holy Mother's departure from Dakshineshwar, an important event took place in the Kali temple. It was the passing of Chandra Devi in March 1876. On the 40th birthday of Sri Ramakrishna, she was very old, and for some time age had robbed her of much of her physical and mental powers, though she still retained her spiritual force. Hriday gave the following account of her death. One day he was about to start for his native village when he felt a strange hesitation, as if the shadow of some approaching danger was upon him. He spoke of it to Sri Ramakrishna, who advised him not to go. 3 days passed quietly. Every day Sri Ramakrishna spent some time with his mother and tended to her wants. On the fourth evening, he paid his usual visit to her and remained with her till midnight and left her fairly well. Next morning, her door remained closed till 8 o'clock, which was unusual. The maidservant called out but got no response. Putting her ear to the door, she was frightened to hear stertorous breathing. She ran to inform Sri Ramakrishna and Hriday. The latter hastened to the spot, opened the door, and found the old lady unconscious. Minute quantities of milk and Ganges water kept her alive for 3 days. When her last moments arrived, she was taken to the bank of the Ganges. Sri Ramakrishna made an offering of flower at her feet, and her soul quietly passed away. Being a sannyasin, he did not perform the funeral rites. These, as well as the Shraddh ceremony, were performed by his nephew Ramlal. Later, Sri Ramakrishna had a desire to make oblations of water, tarpana, to his mother, as did other sons, but his fingers became stiff and separated, so all the water ran out. He tried again and again, but without success. Whereupon he wept. Later on, he heard from a man versed in the scriptures that in a certain stage of spiritual advancement, the sadhaka is freed from the ordinary prescribed duties and cannot perform them. So, my dear friends, today I am stopping here. It is really, we don't know the burden of love, we don't know the burden, or we don't know the circumstances which one has to face when they are actually far away from our existence or our existing belief. We don't know their struggles. Even Sri Ramakrishna has his struggle, had his struggles, right? So today I am stopping here. Be jolly, be faithful towards the omnipotent, right? So till then, keep praying.